Hi everyone, Marcus here from MedPack, and if you love tech and if you love discounts, this is the place for you. But today we are going to talk once again about the GoPro Max and what is the settings that I use on this camera when I'm filming, because in the beginning I was quite frustrated with the end results that I was getting from this camera. Obviously we are going to talk about that moment that happens before you color grade, is configuring your camera in the best way. So let's talk about the hero mode. That is the one that I use the most. The big reason of it is I think it's much more creative than the 360, and it's so much easier to after edit everything. And you can tell me obviously that there is better cameras than this one, but the quality of sound that you can take from this camera is the main reason why I have the GoPro Max.
Ciao bella.
The first thing is obviously I use the maximum resolution that I can, 180, 60 frames per second. When you go to the lenses, and that is really important, so if you are shooting outside, I use the lenses in the linear mode, otherwise you are going to continue to have a bit of shaky image. Even if you put the max hyper smooth, you are going to continue to see the movement there. So definitely I recommend you to use in this way if you are shooting some actions using the hero mode. I don't use any clips, so there I have always the clips off, and when you go to the horizontal leveling, I always have on. Only if I want to do something creative, and obviously the horizontal level can affect that, I will turn off, but that maybe we can talk in another video. The bitrate I always use in the maximum, because obviously otherwise you are going to lose some frames, so always use your bitrate in the maximum that you can. And the shutter speed I have in auto. I have already used in the past that it was not in auto mode, but when you are outside and you are trying to shoot, it's really difficult to you to try to readjust when you are passing just below some trees. So that's why I use the shutter speed in auto. You can use in manual if you are going to basically be always in that specific scene, but if you are like me, using when you are using your electric unicycle and stuff like that, and you are always going speeding up everywhere, you don't have the time to adjust that. The compensation I use at 0, because obviously if I'm using the shutter speed in auto, it will try to adapt where I need to be. And when we talk about the white balance, I want you to think about white balance in two numbers, 5,000 and 6,500. 5,000 is perfect when the weather is really crap, if it's snowing, those type of situation, or if you don't want the colors to get warm, use around 5,000. If you are using in a day that is a very sunny day and you want your footage looks warmer, I using 6,500. And this is one of the things that I show when I was color grading the video. I match the color grading that I had on my camera on the Final Cut Pro, so and you'll be able to see the difference. When I use the ISO, I try to use the ISO in the minimum as possible, because when your ISO is in the minimum, the amount of noise that you are going to get on your footage will be very low. And obviously when you have your shutter in automatic, if you use the minimum and the max ISO exactly the same, you are not going to have like the image is always going up and down, if it makes sense what I'm saying. So when we talk about the sharpness, you have to be on the low side. Why? Because when you start color grading everything, you are going to move everything down, and everything will look much sharper when you do that. So you want the sharpness in the lowest side. So that is a recommendation that I have for you. And when you use the colors, flat, man. Otherwise, when you are trying to color grade, it's a mess and it's horrible. And obviously the quality of the sound I use in high, so raw audio in high.
This was the way that I had to do every day to go to work.
On the shortcuts, I use on the left side, I use the white balance, and you already know why I do that. So if I was using this camera in this room, I'll be using 5,000 in this case. But if I was outside and it's sunny, I will be using 6,500. In the other side, I have the horizontal leveling, because like I said to you guys, sometimes when I'm doing some shots, I like to turn it off, because it's going to help me to do some specific shots that I don't want the leveling of the camera, if it makes sense. When we talk about the microphones here, I always use matched lenses, only if I'm vlogging, because obviously in that case I'm vlogging and I'm seeing myself, but I want to film something that is in the other side. I want them to continue, or in this case you guys, I want you to understand what I'm saying, what I'm showing to you guys. So my voice is more important than what is happening in front of me. And I always have the wind on. So in that case, what is this camera is going to do is obviously it's going to catch the sound from all the microphones. There are 6 microphones on this one, and it's going to obviously check which one is taking the best sound as possible.
Yeah, but you don't felt really bad until now.
Thanks God.
I recommend you to see the video that I've done about color grading your footage. When you do the two, you're going to have very, very good results. Even if you are not using the same software that I'm using on that video, definitely see the video until the end because you'll have all the tips that you have to adjust for the software that you are using.